Let's pray together. Father, we come before you this morning in Jesus' name, and we're grateful, Lord, for your blessings that are upon us. We're grateful, Lord, for the salvation that we have through him. As we come to you today, we realize, Lord, that we've been given a great responsibility, Lord, in this county, Lord, and to the people. And Lord, one day we will stand before you and give account for those things. I pray you will guide these men, Lord, guide this county. Keep us, Lord, by your sweet presence. And Lord, help us every day to realize that you, Lord God, have brought all things to pass, and we handle them for you. And Father, we give you the praise today. We ask your blessings on this meeting and on our county today. And we'll give you all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Cliff?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up, we have the public hearing on the capital improvement short-term loan and the MSBU advisory committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of ordinances we need to address today that we've been talking about here in our meetings for the last few months. The first of which is the MSBU committee ordinance. We went over it in March and then made some edits to it in April and advertised it for today's public hearing. It's an ordinance of Washington County, Florida, establishing an MSBU advisory committee for the purpose of assisting the Board of County Commissioners in determining benefit unit needs and expending benefit unit funds, providing for terms of office, providing for operation of the advisory committee, providing for governance by the Sunshine and Public Records laws of the state of Florida, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. A couple things of note: if we approve this today, there's also on the agenda for later today a resolution that we will pass that names the first committee members. I will read that at that point in time to the board. Second thing that the board has asked that a letter be prepared to the initial committee members, just kind of giving them a copy of this ordinance and asking them to schedule to convene. Mr. Hamilton drafted that letter. I looked over it and edited it. So upon the passing of this today, we will go ahead and adopt the resolution later, naming the members, getting them the information they need, and hopefully set up an initial meeting here shortly. Are there any other questions? I know we've discussed this ordinance on several occasions now. If not, Mr. Chairman, I will open the floor to any public comment.
Would anybody like to comment on the MSBU advisory committee? Seeing none, hearing none, close that portion.
Second portion, Mr. Chairman, is another ordinance. This is a basically a short-term loan that will last for 364 days upon closing. The concept being we are going to have the ability to withdraw up to $3 million from Regions Bank. We are specifically using that money to front money for the FEMA projects that we're wrapping up. We expect that those FEMA projects, based on the DOT and FEMA has told us, are going to wrap up in August this year, so it will not last 364 days. But this is a way to provide some liquidity to the county so that we can pay the contractors and get reimbursed by FEMA without tapping ourselves potentially too short in our own funds. And so you can get yourself into a pinch. Just a reminder, we did bid this out. We put out an RFP. We got several proposals back. Regions had the most thorough and the lowest rates proposal. A representative of Regions is here. And so I'll go ahead and read the title of the ordinance for you. An ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Florida, authorizing a loan in a not-to-exceed principal amount of $3 million to finance capital improvements through the issuance of a short-term general obligation note, Series 217, approving the form of and authorizing the execution of a promissory note and a loan agreement with Regions Bank, and providing for an effective date. Again, this is, for the public's sake, this is something that we expect to basically revolve through in the next 120 days, basically. But it is just going to give us some liquidity so we don't get into a pinch here as we get to the end of the budget year. So this is a short-term loan that's going to be reimbursed by FEMA monies with the project. Are there any questions from the board?
And just for clarification for the media, so they understand that the way we read it, that the interest and everything will be covered by FEMA.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
So
this is.
it won't cost the county constituents a dime for us doing this.
That's why we're doing it. This is a covered FEMA expense, and it's a really a good way to keep liquid in the county and get a short-term loan. And this is something that's routine. This is not the first time something like this has been done. The reason we went for a year or less, if we went more than a year, we would probably have to go out for referendum. So that's why it's structured the way it is.
Any public comment? Hearing none, seeing none, close that portion. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hamilton and let him address the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully you guys know how my faith is important to me. My wife Gina and I have prayed about a lot of things over the last 2 years, and we've been trying to put pieces in place to help our calling on our lives and what God has for us. And so we really felt strongly that the Lord is telling us that our season for opening a marriage retreat to help couples that are in a marriage crisis is time to get started in full swing. And so it's on our heart. We love people. You know, the scripture tells us to love people as Christ loves people, and that's something that weighs heavy on us every day. And so, with that being said, I'd like to be able to pursue that calling on my life and a calling on Gina's life full time. So I'll submit my resignation effective 21 June with the concurrence of the board. And I appreciate the honor that I've had to hold this position. This board is tremendous to work for. The people of Washington County are amazing. They've really opened up their arms to Gina and myself, and it's been awesome. Obviously, I'll still plan on being part of the community through community events and things of that nature. So that's not happening, but Gina and me feel like it's really important that we follow what God has for us, and hopefully we encourage everybody else to, you know, if your life with Christ is where it needs to be, listen to what He's telling you.
Amen.
So,
Jeff, will that give us sufficient time to advertise for the position? What I don't want to do, and what I'm asking Mr. Hamilton to do for us, is I don't want to go into a situation where we're without, or we're in an intermediate.
Sure.
Someone stepping in. We've worked too hard, too long to have these projects that we've got going, where someone to step in the middle and have confusion.
Sure. What I would do, Mr. Hawkins, is I would probably place this last on your agenda for today. We haven't accepted Mr. Hamilton's resignation yet,
No,
so
we
this will
didn't
give
go
us
yet.
a good time to discuss what direction the board wants to go. And if the board thinks it needs to pull out additional time from Mr. Hamilton, maybe we can squeeze him into an extra week or two. But importantly, I think he just wanted to get out there that he was tendering his resignation so that the board could discuss. I think Mr. Hamilton, based on what he told me this morning, is more than willing to work with the board however he needs to, shorter or longer. But he wants to make sure that the board and the folks in Washington County are taken care of. So I would just advise to put it on the end of the agenda and then maybe hit that topic last. And then when you figure out what direction you're going to go, we can talk about an effective resignation date if that's okay with you.
yes, sir.
So, I didn't mean to sound morbid to you.
No. Hey, listen,
But
the business of the county is super important to me, and we got to do it right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I appreciate your service and to the county, but like I said, I didn't want that to come out
Yes, sir.
morbid at all.
Yeah, Mr. Hamilton, I'd like to thank you for your service to the county and congratulate you on following God's calling, because
Thank you.
that's a big undertaking, and a lot of people don't always do that.
Thank you. If we don't get the county straightened out, I may be seeing you on that.
Commissioners and their spouses are free of charge.
We all could have used it at one time.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I'm not supposed to speak for Trey. We all
a little
needed
late
it.
for mine. I
I'm not the one going to sir. If you record it, it could be a little too late to do the right thing now.
Thank you for giving us at least a month,
Yes, sir.
or close to a month, and being willing to move that target date as if
Yes, sir.
the county is not gonna miss it, so we probably won't hit it, so just be willing to give us another week
Yeah,
or two
absolutely.
in there.
Absolutely.
So now when we go golfing, you won't have to consult for other commissioners.
That's exactly right, yes, sir. But thank you, and I would just, Gina and myself, we would just ask for your prayers and that we are successful in our endeavors. So.
Well, I might say this too, it was also great having, it's great having a man with your spiritual ramifications in that office, and
Thank you.
it brings the word behind us to fruition that we do put God first and we trust Him, and we thank you for it.
Thank you.
All right, everybody okay? Okay, next we need to look over the agenda and make any changes and adopt the agenda. And I would like to go ahead and add the discussion of county administrator under the bottom of the MSBU committee formation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask Jeff to draft up a proclamation for the board to send to the governor and to our representatives and to our senator in support of the governor's efforts to keep a lot of his economic incentive programs in place. And it's been an uphill battle. I know Brad, bless his heart, we saw him in Tallahassee, he looked like a wolf puppy dog. They're trying to support the governor, but in doing so, they're losing a lot of the support of their fellow members. And I know it just hit on me one night. Because the governor has been good to us, we ought to be at least one of 67 counties that sends a proclamation thanking him for his support, basically, and saying that Washington County's behind him. So,
And I'll read that, I've got that prepared for you guys.
I'd like to add that one. Only other adjustment I'd like to do is on the consent agenda, the item J, grandparent alienation proclamation. I would like to put that on the regular agenda, and I know that the supporters and the requesters of this proclamation would like the opportunity to address the board about it. And
Okay, I'm gonna put the item J at the very beginning before the capital improvement. And I'm going to put the other, after the MSPD, the governor's proclamation, between the MSBU committee formation and the county administrator discussion.
With this little scratch I had right here.
I know, you're right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item E for discussion.
Item E.
Jay? You gonna put it where now?
After J,
That's actually the second item on our agenda.
just for the simple fact that I ran around.
Okay.
And Mr. Joyner just added to this.
You was having a problem fitting it in the lines too?
Yeah. We didn't have a whole lot of room there.
We can just get a blank sheet of paper next time for this agenda. It'd be great.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I got a couple things.
oh, okay.
I didn't see, it may be on here, I missed it in the consent, but the board had discussed accepting 911.
Right.
I prepared a resolution that I would like to add, and I'll read through it so the board can hear it. It's just a resolution for the minutes so we can see that we have accepted 911 back and clarify that the finances will trigger October 1. So I would like to add that to the agenda. And then just another thing that's not necessarily something we got to approve, but we had discussed with respect to when you come to get a building permit, this issue with public-private roads. I've drafted an acknowledgement form, just that we're going to have people sign, but I was going to update the board on that as well. So if we do need to approve the resolution for the 911 acceptance back to the county, just so we got it in our minutes 20 years from now, we can figure out what happened. And then I'll go over the acknowledgement form there in my time.
Would that suffice to go under your section?
Both of them, yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
But that way, that gives us more room to write.
Thank you.
Also, sir, we interviewed building officials yesterday, and we would like to recommend someone, so if I can have a minute to discuss that at some point.
All right, is there-
We should go to the governor here, shouldn't we?
Yeah. but
That's
it's-
the reason
Y'all ain't even give them a spot.
I know it.
Sorry.
Thanks, Jackie.
So
My bad.
how?
We'll turn that reservation in.
Shouldn't tell me that
We'll just put it,
Thank you.
Public Works. Right before Public Works.
All right.
Yeah, turn another resignation in, we'll take the chair.
Good Lord. Sorry, thank you.
Shouldn't resign, yeah.
I know, right?
All right, if you had 911 and,
I was gonna do the 911, and then I was just gonna discuss the acknowledgement form for the public-private road issue when we give out building permits. That's not necessarily an approval thing, I just wanna let the board know what we're gonna do there.
and, you have, building.
Where do you put that at?
I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna put it after county, yeah, right there, Public Works. Correct.
Did you approve this agenda?
I saw it the same time you did.
Last minute changes.
All right, hearing no other changes, need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion,
I'll second.
have a second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. Motion passes. There are no previous minutes. We have the non-agenda audience section effective October 1st, 2013, Florida Statute 286.0114 mandates that members of the public shall be given reasonable opportunity to be heard on a position before a board of commissioners. Each individual shall have 3 minutes to speak on the proposition before the board. I have a list here. I read the short version, Judge.
You did good.
Well, at the time, I didn't have a list. I guess it was blank, then I got a new one. Cliff White. Is there a Cliff White here? How about Ms. Connie Honey?
You must have an old list.
Yeah, I don't have reading with this.
Somebody just brought it.
Yeah, no, because I took the list up at 9 o'clock, but what's the?
Okay, well then it's saying,
Two people signed in. The last 2 people are signed in.
okay, and so we got that, we got the other 2 covered. Okay, we're good. I'll close the public audience portion because we have no one signed up, if there's no one here that wants to speak. Okay, seeing none here, none will close up. All right, the consent agenda, we have, on there, item A, a request for approval for the clerk of court to pay vouchers for April 2017 totaling $1,508,688.58. We have a radio coverage study, approval to purchase enhanced coverage study from for communication funds. We have communications spending limit resolution, which will be the grant the communications committee authority to spend up to $2,500, so they don't have to come see us every time they want to buy some chewing gum. And then flood response standard operation guide, written guide for flood response activities. We pulled item E. We have F is a vehicle purchase for the Ag Center. It's going to be the purchase of a 2017 F-150. The item G, abandonment of 30-foot wide right-of-way on Dickinson Lane, section 22, Township 3, North Range 15 West, N88, 1407 for the distance of 803.25 feet. We have H is a lap sidewalk design award for Ushery Road. We have a budget amendment, custodial services budget to transfer to Human Resources Department. We make cruise budget to transfer to transportation. Item J was pulled. And then we have K, which is a wetland, a pro-growth, pro-business, and pro-development, and desire to set forth an appropriate balance of protecting the interests of our citizens and our natural resources while also making sure that outside businesses, enterprises understand that we are open for business. It is intended that the policy of the Washington County Board of County Commissioners that the definitions of delineation of and legal descriptions of wetlands and conservation areas be established to comply with the comprehensive plan and land development code requirements, either as part of the development order or alternately as condition of the development order prior to final issuance of permits necessary for construction. That being said, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now we are to the main agenda, and we're going to start with item J, which is Mr. Allen Bush.
Yeah, this item pertains to a proclamation that the board is going to approve, and has to do with grandparent alienation awareness. And we have two wonderful ladies that would like to get up and do a presentation for us prior to us approving the proclamation. So, Ms. Elsie, Ms. Ann, whoever's going to do the speaking.
This is something similar that we done last year, is that correct?
Thank you all for allowing us here to be able to speak on this, and I think I understand that probably it is going to be approved. But my name is Ann Hay. I lived and worked in Washington County most of my adult life. I'm happy to be here today, not for the reason that I'm here, but I'm happy to be here to speak on behalf of all grandparents and extended family members. I'm sorry, I get emotional. I'm here today asking for June 14, 2017 to be recognized as Grandparent Alienation Awareness Day here in Washington County. If anyone asked me to explain how parental estrangement, grandparent alienation feels, I'd say it feels like such a significant, major part of my identity is gone. We as parents give up everything for our kids, everything. And when you're not seeing them and the grands are being withheld, it's like a living death, like you're suffering a death with no finality. It feels as if your children, grandchildren died, but they didn't, and you're mourning their loss, but you can't, because you're fighting to get them back. There's no condolences, no actual grieving process. Experiencing loss that does not involve death may feel like you're doing it all on your own. Unless you are or have been in that situation, it is really unbelievable. It's a silent epidemic. The untold stories, so many people we don't know about because they think it's a reflection on them. And we all know there are some people, parents, grandparents, that probably don't need to see their grandkids. But when it's just out of, just because the funds dried up or, for whatever reason, we don't know. But there's so many of us. People, it's real. And again, I know people can understand it, if you're not there, but believe me, it's real. You're just erased, you're invisible. It's obscene what our adult children have done to some of us. And some of us, it's for the reason I just said, and some, it might be your child died, and then the other parent leaves and just erases that part of the family. I know in a nearby county, a grandmother had raised their grandchild for a year and a half, and then they went to court. The mother got the grandchild back, but the judge refused to let that grandmother have any type of visitation to see that child. A year and a half, no mother, then mother, and then no grandmother. We've got to get this changed. We're like discarded marionette dolls, stripped bare, thrown away, cast aside, broken, and no longer useful to them. You function and hide the grieving pain as best as humanly possible. Words cannot adequately express all heartache and pain caused. Sometimes a child himself is forced to grieve the loss of a grandparent if they're old enough to know you were there and then you're no longer there. That is still very much alive, and this is just not fair to the child. It's not only difficult but impossible to deal with a sick, jealous mind, so full of anger and misery that they choose to be a victim of really their own imagination. It's hard to let someone go when we don't know why they are gone. Do we choose to wake up every day and grieve? Absolutely not. We wake up every day and know when a part of us is missing. It's natural to want an explanation and understanding, something that puts their leaving into perspective. It's hard to move on when there's nothing but silence, though, as you move the whole thing up. They are our own children, our own flesh and blood. And this could happen to anybody here in this room. You know, we hope and pray to God it doesn't, but it could. But we can't put our lives on hold, waiting for an answer that may never come. Maybe they will tell us one day, or maybe they will never understand it themselves. And that's what I'm thinking. Their reason isn't that important. What is important is that we don't abandon ourselves in the heart of loss, that we don't make another person's presence more important than our own, that we don't lock ourselves in a prison of our own making, waiting for an external liberator to set us free. If they have left, we have to leave too. We have to let the pains through the holes they left behind so it can find its ultimate destination. Our precious life waits on no one. I am strong but tired. And here I also insert, it also affects us physically, and I'm not necessarily talking about abuse, but that has been there. I'm talking about health. Easter Sunday, I was getting dressed to go to Granny's 90th birthday party. The phone rings. I was hoping my husband was answering it because I'm running late. And he didn't, but I go and answer it. And as soon as I got there, this name lit up on who it was. And it was my child. There was no answer. But later, his stepdad called, and finally, after 4 or 5 calls, he answered and said that it was a but out. After almost 3 years of not using that number, I don't know, but that's what he says, and I guess I believe it. But it almost put me in the pain. How long is my sentence? How long must I endure judgment? I know I put mine first without taking care of me, and here I am. I've accepted this, still forgiving myself, and I'm trying to move on. I still have lots of moments, but God's grace gets me through. I did what I thought was best at the time in raising my children, so it is what it is. I no longer allow myself to feel the victim. Instead, I'm taking ownership and striving to move forward. God intended for me to have a life of joy, not despair. Feeling rejected is the worst feeling, but I will not allow it to define me and my life any longer. We know one of the biggest ways to defeat this is to bring more awareness to those who know nothing or very little about alienation. With awareness comes education and understanding, and the power to stop the abuse of innocent children left without their grandparents and extended family members in their lives. Laws must be changed as well to protect the rights of these alienated grandchildren to see all their family members, even little cousins, best friends. And I have a poster back there, and of course my pictures and an eternity candle. But my little granddaughter, it kills her. You know, it's not just me, and it's my little grandson, that I can't see. But we just need to make sure that we all can have that key to unlock our prisons. We've got to. We've got to make these laws change. We've got to get the government behind us. And if anybody wants to help or can help this old loving grandmother, it would be much appreciated. I still don't know how my story will end, but nowhere in my text will it ever read, I gave up. Because you see, I got it. That's my little man's saying, got it. And that's also my motto for what I'm doing with grandparents. I will leave my legacy of love, whether I can be there or not. Thank you for your consideration. And Ms. Elsie Meyer wants to speak. And then is Mr. Goodman going to read the proclamation?
I'd be glad to.
Okay. Thank you all very much, and prayers are much appreciated.
Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. My first time for you all due to my mother's illness and other unforeseen things. But I too am a victim of being alienated by my grandson, a grandson that I kept for almost 2 years of my life. He and I have a special bond, and it breaks your heart daily. You know it's breaking their heart daily too when they're old enough to understand what's going on in their lives. Time past can never be regained. Also, like Ann, his grandson is not allowed to spend time with his first cousins. You know, those are some of their best friends when you're growing up. They make a special bond with them also. This all started because I'm not able to keep 7 children, which my son married someone that had 6 foster adopted children. And I was told I couldn't keep my grandson anymore until I get all of the other 6 grandchildren. I did keep all 7 of them, and I just stopped that because I'm not able to. It's a lot for an old lady to have to put up with. But I do love my grandson with all my heart. It hurts him greatly. You know, I know he got up one morning when he was staying with me those 2 years, and he says, "Mimi, can I call you Mama?" You know, and automatically you want to burst into tears, but you have to think about what that's going to do to the child. So I had to get my wits together, and I says, no, Michael, you can't do that. I says, I tried to make a joke of it and tickle it and all, and I says, no, we can't do that. I says, you got a mom, and I've always wanted to be a Mimi. So you just can't imagine unless this has personally happened to you. You cannot imagine the pain that it inflicts on us. It never goes away. Many prayers have gone out. I pray daily about the situation. I think, like Ann said, there's a lot more of us than what we realize out there that's in the same situation. And it's sad. It's almost as if the adults hate the parent more than they love the child when they do this to them. Because in my opinion, it's abuse. It's just as bad as any other kind of abuse, if not worse. Because the child will never get over that. He has been kept from people that was in his life all of a sudden, and then they just disappeared due to another person entering into the family. It's not fair. I don't know what can be done about it. I think Alabama passed a law that if you've been in the child's life before and was a part of them growing up, you know, they've changed it to where the grandparents can see that child. I wish that Florida, we could get people on board and help us change the laws in Florida to where we're not alienated from our grandchildren. You know, we're not getting any younger. And who knows, today may be my last day. And I'm a grieving Mimi every day of my life. I love all 3 of my grandsons. But when you keep one for 2 years, one from Monday through Michael, I kept from Monday morning early until Friday night because his dad worked out of town. You build a special bond with a child. It's almost if he becomes yours. He's not, but it's almost as if he becomes yours. And it just breaks my heart. And anything, I appreciate what you all have done. love. This is in His control. And I keep praying and believing that it will be resolved. And that's all. Like I said, I didn't come prepared like I can. I just came to speak from my heart this morning.
You'll definitely be in our prayers. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I need a motion, this for claims June 14th, 2017 is Grandparent Alienation Awareness Day.
You want Jeff to read it?
Yes. I'm sorry, I forgot to.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As somebody with 3 children under 10, I can certainly attest to the importance of grandparents, not only for the grandchildren, but for the parents as well. They are a relief a lot of times, so we appreciate the few hours that they take them at a time. So it's a great proclamation. Whereas strong family relationships constitute the foundation of our communities, and we believe that the children and families of Florida deserve this day designated to create awareness and education for this little known and severe form of abuse. Alienation is a term used to describe any number of behaviors and attitudes designed to interfere. Whereas alienation behaviors are frequently present in high conflict divorces, separations, asymmetrical custody arrangements, and intact marriages, often causing mental and emotional anguish to children. And whereas alienation is a term used to describe any number of behaviors and attitudes on the part of one or both parents designed to interfere, damage, or destroy the relationship between a child and a family member, it is a form of abuse that causes emotional trauma to children. And whereas alienation takes advantage of the innocent and the impressionable, as well as the suggestibility and dependency of a child, depriving children of their right to love and be loved by their extended family. And whereas mental health professionals agree that the negative effects of alienation can follow a child into adulthood with tragic consequences. And whereas the recently published Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders made several references to the dysfunctional family dynamic of alienation to be a form of psychological child abuse. And whereas Grandparent Alienation Awareness Day is intended to increase the knowledge and understanding of this problem, to help families, institutions, the legal and mental health community, and leaders to better identify and combat such abusive behavior towards Florida's most vulnerable populations, our children and the elderly. Now therefore, the Washington County Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim June 14th, 2017 as Grandparent Alienation Awareness Day in Washington County, Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Okay, let's try this again. I need to, looking for a motion to proclaim June 14, 2017 as Grandparent Alienation Awareness Day. Have a motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also ask during our break, in short support, that we have a picture made with the proclamation and with Miss Elsie and Miss Ann if they're still available.
Can we do that now?
Or during break, whatever our chairman elects.
Got you want to do that?
Yeah, might as well get it
That way.
Go ahead and sign the proclamation. Go ahead and sign the proclamation.
I do.
Just go ahead and sign it.
Y'all caught me a couple of times without checking.
It's all keywords, tricky phrases y'all got.
Make it here.
I'll fit through there, but I don't think the trade's gonna let go.
Hey, I'll pop through there. Y'all done agreed with me enough, and I'll pop right through.
The trade's gonna slide right through that spot.
Hey.
You're a big youngin', we let her.
Come right here, get her, y'all make a picture with you. You know, both sides of it.
Hey, where's the proclamation?
Yeah, that would be.
It's right here.
Can they see me?
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yes, well, they can see me when y'all do, I promise you.
Can you go in just a little bit?
Make a copy.
stuff.
You ain't got that drop us top, don't you? Took it out of me.
Till the next break.
I got a drawer, I got a drawer, I got a drawer, hey, 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 hey.
You wasn't running on the baby. So on front of the good door, you might have.
Just a little bit.
Entertainment during the commercial.
Yeah.
Try it. A little entertainment during the commercial.
You got your little step.
Yeah, I got my
Yep.
stuff.
Yep, I got rid of mine. I feel like a kid. You know what I mean?
Not, some of us are vertically chapped.
Yeah.
All right. We are to item E, Mr. Joyner.
Mr. Chairman, the substantial completion on the FEMA project zone A and B. Cliff, what level of completion are we on those two?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So I think the substantial completion notice that you have before you was for Contract B, which Contract B is complete. On Contract A, they're lacking 70 loads of rock to be hauled to Strickland Road.
Here it says A and B there.
No, sir, it should not. The only one that is actually completed is Contract B. It shouldn't be A and B. Now, the way it was bid out as Contract A and B, and so the specifications all say Contract A and B, but Contract B is the only one that's completed, and the substantial completion notice is only for Contract B.
I think how that got put on there, they were gonna try it to be done by the meeting and they didn't make
Yeah,
it.
okay. Yeah,
So I
so,
think that's why it was put on there double like that.
So we need to strike A then, huh?
Yeah.
yeah.
Just-
I'm sorry. They got till June 9th to be done with Contract A, and they're lacking 70 loads on Strickland Road.
Wow.
Yeah, we just need a motion for substantial completion on Zone B.
It's right on the thing, on the agenda, it's incorrect. You know, they got it on the substantial notice on your
Yes,
tab.
we only have one actual document, just at the workshop. We had thought there was gonna be
I
three, so
got
that's why we advertised it that way.
Yeah, on the-
Because we were
yeah,
gonna bring
it
it
was
today,
in-
the paper with them, if they were complete, that we
Yeah, it's
thought.
incorrect on the agenda, but they got.
Yeah, we only have the actual
The
paper
writing
signed.
is correct, the backup on it.
On the other one. Yeah.
If they could've got the rock, they would've been done, but
I
apparently. they
understand
didn't.
that.
So, but it's just
The information I had here was on A and B.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
good catch. I didn't even see, I was always
Correct
this.
that to read, we're complete on zone.
B.
Yeah, just need a motion whereas the
And
contract.
that's correct, right, Johnny? Zone B is good?
Contract B.
Okay. All right, I make a motion that we accept it as substantial completion on zone B.
Contract B.
Contract B.
Okay, have a motion,
I'll second that.
second by Ms. Harris. And all in favor? Aye.
Okay, thank you.
One question, now that's due to be finished June 9th.
That's the date.
Contract A,
Yeah.
and we won't meet again until the latter part of June, the 22nd or somewhere in there, I don't remember exactly what. Is that gonna cause any problems with payment?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the board gave us direction already to be able to handle the substantial completion notice when they're complete, so that the time stops. I think we had some discussion at the workshop about that, so I
Yeah.
think we're okay with it.
So we'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
When we meet in June,
Right.
if we could approve payment, then that won't give us any kind of bind as far as.
No, sir.
That was a good question, because I think the way we explained the workshop, what we want to do is give Hank permission. Is that what we discussed?
That's the way I remember it.
Is that what we discussed?
If
Do we-
it got complete, if A was complete by the 9th,
Yeah.
that we gave him approval, yeah, to go ahead and process the payment.
Jeff, being that we kind of changed our procurement process on this, how we set this substantial completion, do we need to make that a motion for this
Yeah,
to clarify?
yeah, it may not be a bad idea, just for the minutes, that you can give Hank the permission to go ahead and approve substantial completion on Part A, so long as Cliff and your staff are in compliance.
And what we'll do is we'll go through our
Yeah.
checklist that we have, the acceptance checklist.
I got you.
We'll do
And
that.
it's just on this specific.
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioner Phil, Feel okay with that? I make the motion that we give Hank the ability to approve, Zone A of the contract, for C.W. Roberts, for substantial completion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Goodman, capital improvement short-term loan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have gone through the reading portion and the public comment portion, so at this time, the board would need to approve the ordinance regarding the $3 million short-term loan with Regions Bank.
I make the motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we want to thank Regions Bank for being here.
Absolutely.
It's great to get it with somebody who's got an office in town, and they were great to work with through the process.
Always a pleasure to work with them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Are you up for the advisory committee order?
I sure can be, Mr. Chairman. Second ordinance we need to approve today is the establishing of the MSBU Advisory Committee. Specifically, Section 2 of the ordinance creates the committee, so to speak, creates the terms of membership, creates the officers, creates the meeting and quorum schedule, the procedures, the removal of officers, compliance with sunshine laws, etc. And so we need a motion to create the ordinance pertaining to the Sunny Hills Oak Hill Municipal Services Benefit Unit Committee.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
A motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next thing we need to do, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with you, is we've got a resolution establishing who the members of the committee are. The names that have been given for the committee are as follows: Brian Godden, Charles Suggs, Kathy Gesslin, I'm sorry if I messed that up, Gary Hartman, and Steve Hillis, H-E-A-L-I-S. The second part of the resolution instructs the county administrator to convey this along with the ordinance to the new advisory committee members and set an organizational meeting as soon as practicable. And so we need a motion to pass a resolution. It's titled a resolution establishing the MSBU Advisory Committee, and this will be attached to the ordinance.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Who do you want to say? You got Alan and Steve.
I heard both at the same time.
He made a call.
I heard Steve. We're going to put her in the middle.
She's right where she needs to be.
One of them things.
Okay.
I think Steve was a little bit ahead of Alex.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's all right. I need to get mine.
All right, Mr. Bush.
Oh, the governor's proclamation?
Yes,
It's on tab, it's on your chat.
Okay. Jeff, we can read that?
I sure we can do it right now if you like to, Mr. Bush.
Good old gentleman squad.
All right, so here we go. Appreciate Mr. Bush contacting me, and I also had gotten some contact from Mr. Kent as well. And I'll just read the resolution because I think this is an important enough one. We just want to read it into the minutes. It's a resolution of the Washington County Board of County Commissioners supporting Governor Rick Scott's stance and advocating against the reduction of funding for Enterprise Florida, Visit Florida, and other proposed reductions in programs which will negatively impact the citizens of Washington County and Northwest Florida. Whereas the Washington County Board of County Commissioners is dedicated to building a diverse, strong economic base so that our community can flourish. And whereas the Washington County Board of County Commissioners is pro-growth, pro-business, and pro-development, and believes that Governor Scott's support of Enterprise Florida, Visit Florida, and other related programs significantly assist Washington County and other rural counties in building and growing our economic base. And whereas the Washington County Board of County Commissioners believes that such programs support our local tax base as well as attract business investments and the creation of high-wage jobs in targeted, high-value added industries. And whereas many of these programs allow Washington County to leverage tax abatements and other economic development incentives with state incentives when recruiting or retaining companies in high-value industries. And whereas the reduction of such programs make Florida less attractive to industries who can go or relocate to states bordering Northwest Florida, which bordering states have dedicated funds to recruit and attract such high-value industries. And whereas the Washington County Board of County Commissioners is also appreciative of Representative Brad Drake and Senator George Gaynor for supporting Washington County and Northwest Florida and advocating for programs that support our tax base and allow Washington County and other Northwest Florida counties to fairly compete with neighboring states. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Florida, one, that Washington County hereby supports Governor Rick Scott in advocating against reduced funding to Enterprise Florida, Visit Florida, and other related programs that support Washington County's tax base and allow Washington County to remain competitive with neighboring states in recruiting or retaining companies in high-value targeted industries. Two, upon adoption, this resolution shall be provided by the Washington County Administrator to Governor Rick Scott, Representative Brad Drake, Senator George Gaynor, Senator Jack Latvala, and the Florida Association of Counties. Duly adopted in regular session this 25th day of May 2017.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the board approve this proclamation.
I have a motion.
Second, y'all want this discussed?
Yeah, I'll second. All in favor?
I think we all support it. It's a very good cause, and thank y'all for bringing that to the board's attention. Good idea, Alan.
Thank you.
All right, we're down to county administrator.
Yesterday, we held meetings with, our interviews with applicants for the building official position. We would like to recommend Dana Whipple for that position. He has 30-plus years of experience, super nice guy, interviewed well, and I think he's the right fit for the county. So with the board's permission, we'd like to extend that job offer to him and go from there. So, and we'll talk about the his start date and things like that when we contact him.
Dana Whipple.
Whipple, Whipple.
He is serving in that capacity now in Holmes County.
That is correct.
Portion of the capacity.
That is correct. He's the assistant building official in Holmes County.
And he's also worked up under the building official over in Bonifay now.
For the county, I'm not sure about city, but he's got a vast amount of experience with Pinellas County and.
And then Roger Williams is also,
That's his boss now, I guess.
He filled in for us for a period of time when we were in need, when we were out for quite some time until he was.
I know Dana both in a professional and personal capacity, and Dana reminds me a little bit of our Tom in the fact that he started his career down in South Florida and somehow migrated up here for a better way of life and ended up back in county government. But yeah, he did a lot of those things in South Florida, and as many of you know, Roger was sick, very sick, a couple years back. And basically Dana was not working and was retired, and we recruited him to come and kind of get us through when Roger was dealing with his health issues. And Dana is he's just an outstanding person. He is a class act. He reminds me a lot of our Tom. So I certainly would highly recommend Dana professionally and personally for whatever position he's interviewed for. He's a good guy.
This being the department head needs a motion from the board to accept this applicant.
That's correct.
I'd make a motion to accept this applicant for the building official.
Motion, Mr. Abbott.
I have a second.
Mr. Joyner, second. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I think this is a great step in the right direction and to provide a full-time building official for our county, and the previous building official that's in there currently, I mean, has served a great purpose, and I was kind of disappointed to hear that he wasn't able to come on full board, but I'm really happy. This is a great step for our citizens to be able to have building inspections, 5 days a week at least, have a full-time for the same money.
If I might add, I'd like the board to know this. Mr. Whipple, they serve a dual role over there and also the planning side.
Yes.
So he is familiar with that side of it, which would certainly be an asset, you know, to
Yes,
us here.
yes, good.
So,
Also, the current contract requires a 30-day written notice for separation of termination of contract, so I'll submit that this afternoon if that's appropriate.
Yeah, and whenever, I just don't want to be in a void without one. If Mr.
Of
Whipple can start within that 30 days, I'm ready to.
Right.
Very, very much so. I want him not to start the first day taking over everything. I'd rather him be here and,
A week or so
yeah,
anyway.
a week, whatever,
Yeah.
whenever he's available.
Yeah.
I'd put him on the case, and
Yes, sir.
that way there he can transition and learn,
Get the feel of the records and stuff.
because he's got
A lot of projects.
a lot of projects, and he'll need to be caught up to date by the current inspectors. Very good.
All right, good job.
I think we've come to a stopping point. How about, 10?
Like we did last time.
Absolutely.
That's what I'd like to do.
What advertisement period?
I think we need to shorten it up to accommodate Hank's wishes. A week and a half, 7 days, I don't know.
Do a 10-day cycle in a paper.
Yeah.
What's the best, Mr. Carter?
well, if you do the newspaper, if we get it in, we could get it in a Wednesday and a Saturday paper. You know, I would try to do at least that.
A
So
full week.
I would, you know, you could do a full week or maybe a week and a half.
And I think as talk gets out with this meeting, I think there'll be a lot of inquiries.
And that's not reaching out, you know, because I think if you go further than that, like to Indeed and all that, I would recommend doing it longer than that, but I realize we need to,
But surely we could advertise this more in our local, more in our local paper.
yes, we can advertise it in our local paper.
But
More than.
More than our local paper.
Oh, yes, you can, but
It's very costly.
Is it?
Yeah, it is costly, and
It's
even
a
if
very
we don't
important
look at
position
that, sometimes they don't work as fast on getting it out there.
You can do it through fact
Yes, I can put it through them, yes.
in our local paper and
Yeah.
fact.
They got some advocacies, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they advertise by region, they list all the
Yeah,
vacancies.
they do.
Every day
They
it's
do.
on the website.
And I'll certainly do that. Before we did that, we put it out with Indeed, it was on Monster.
Yeah.
And,
Well, some of the county administrators, they don't run into a pretty close net, so they know where to find the applicants or the job openings, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm in a network that has that capability.
Are you?
Yes, sir.
and we also need to know, last time you wanted a committee of local business people and all. If that's what you want to do, we need to start, Jeff will need to get with us and we need to start working on that if you want to do it differently.
Last time, all of the county commissioners were able to interview, and I just want to make sure that happens again.
Absolutely. I think that's very important that you do.
I do
Just the
too.
top three?
I'm good with that.
Okay,
That's what
so
we
you-
did last time, was the top three.
So you still want the same process. We'll get a committee of community leaders.
Mhm.
We'll, you know, we'll go through and screen them.
Yeah.
They'll go through the first and send the top three to you.
Yeah. As quickly as possible. Don't rush it, but as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Hit the ground running.
We will. And if we can go ahead and get our community leaders and kind of get a date, establish a date now, because we have to depend on their schedules as well in trying to get them together.
Now, let me ask a question. Is it too late to have it in, if we put it in this Saturday's paper, is it too late for that? It's too late for that? You couldn't help us slip it in?
Oh, yeah, they already have deadlines that we have to go in.
Can we?
It actually goes to print tomorrow,
It
so.
goes.
Yeah, it goes all the way,
Friend,
yeah.
we get the mail back.
Go to
Sorry, I-
Canada?
Yeah,
Well, at least those,
that's right.
So there won't be
It
nothing
actually
of
goes
today's
I knew it
meeting?
was somewhere
Panama
north of
City.
us.
So there wouldn't be nothing of today's meeting in this weekend's paper?
It'll be in Saturdays.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Could we put this in Saturday's paper?
I don't know about the advertising, I don't think so.
I don't think
I'm
so.
pretty sure
either.
the deadline is passed for that.
Is it today? It may be
today.
But I can find out. I'll call and ask.
Oh, Memorial Day, they did move
But
it up
let-
to Memorial Day. Yeah,
Let-
it did It's move up early because of deadline this Memorial Day.
Let me ask another question. Will this be part of your news?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that the county administrator has tendered his resignation.
I'm actually fixing to post to Facebook on our page that he's attended it.
Okay, so maybe that would serve as some advertisement.
She's
I posted
tweeting
it
right
last
now.
week, where were you, Dee?
She's tweeting right now.
She's tweeting. Yeah. I would like to have next week's paper too. I mean, if we could.
As important as this position is, I definitely want it advertised as many outlets as we possibly can.
Sure.
Without spending a tremendous.
Oh, yeah, but
But my question is, why are we doing that when we just had a huge pool not less than a year ago of qualified applicants?
Well, the way that the board was would have kept somebody from
applying. And I believe the statute, we have to advertise the position, correct? Joe?
the alignment of the board kept some people that I'm aware of from applying.
The statute is somewhat vague. In fact, it's the only position that it addresses. The statute gives the board a lot of ability in how it fills that position. So it's actually for your own internal policies may encourage advertising positions, but the statute with respect to that position is actually pretty vague on how you do it. It gives you a lot of discretion on that.
I'm just looking at the time frame. I mean,
Mr. Attorney, what would you recommend?
You know what? I had such fun in the last one. I'm hoping to completely avoid this one.
that's exactly what.
Didn't you have an applicant, Mr. Massey, how did he rate at that time? I wasn't here, but I understand he was highly rated. What?
I think he was one at
He was one at one point, and then because of
The alignment of the board didn't.
the alignment of the board, and I mean, you know, I think one of the reasons he kind of wanted the contract was because of the alignment of the board. I don't think. I think he's very well qualified.
He was, what pick was he when you?
He was. I mean, he was the first. He was the first one to be offered.
2 voted for him and 3 voted against him.
No, not originally. Everybody voted originally for him. But then when he wanted to talk about some other things, then that's when it changed. And he went.
He wanted a contract for him to leave the job where he was at now.
Right.
He wanted some kind of a guarantee.
I have no doubt that Mr. Massey could do the position, but I just worry about anything other than just the simple public perception that we're picking and choosing winners before we know what's available. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think that, just for me on the outside looking in, I know that's what's going to be done.
But I think the vetting process, when it's full extent at that point, you know, when you're involving the lawyers and community leaders and everything, you know, you're taking up a lot of time. And if there was, you know, if he was that close, maybe you could reach out to him, see if he's still interested. He may not be interested.
Yeah.
I have.
I definitely would want him to apply, you know what I mean? I definitely want him to know that application is available.
But the issue that I have with it, I mean, you know, with Mr. Terrell and Road and Bridge, I mean, we've made a lot of progress, and I just don't want this time frame thing to run out. I mean, it'll be 2 months.
No.
I just want to correct one thing on a statement that was made. There wasn't a 3-2 vote against Mr. Massey. It was a 3-2 vote not to change.
The way it was advertised.
Yeah, it was advertised for one thing, and then Mr. Massey wanted something different than the way it was advertised. So it was put to the point, well, if that's the way we're going to do it, then we need to re-advertise because it's not fair to other applicants. Because you might, if you're going to have a contract, you might have had other applicants that were willing to apply
with the contract,
that were afraid to apply because they didn't know that it was going to be guaranteed. You know, and everybody knows it's whatever county it is, it always has a high rate of turnover. So that was the whole issue there. Is we were. He was asking for something that wasn't made available to other applicants.
Right.
So that was,
it
wasn't against Mr. Massey.
Yes, it wasn't the individual, it was just the way that we worded the advertising.
And at this point, this board is not looking to turn this into a contract position, are we?
No.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know.
But that individual that you just mentioned, Mr. Joyner, he wasn't interested in it at no contract then. I don't know if
changed or not.
Yeah, but meanwhile, we can't stop and wait. I mean, I would like to see it advertised, and I would like to see this individual apply. But also, there was people that I feel like that didn't apply.
Allow the printer to write at the top.
That would now.
Whatever consensus of the board is.
He wouldn't take that job. Mr. Massey would not take that job without a contract bid.
I feel confident that he would now. Statements he's made in the past, I mean, like, I don't know, 2 months ago, but
I just think it'd be a lot cleaner if we advertised and then let everybody apply and then let the cream rise to the top. You know, and if Mr. Massey or whoever may be is the best applicant for the position, then I'm 100% confident this board would put the best person in that position. With no rhyme nor reason.
you should have seen some of that.
No, I'm just telling you, and I feel that Mr. Massey, I don't know him personally, but I've, attended meetings and so on and so forth.
Listen,
He seems like a great outfit, but
that's why it's a board.
I'm understanding of what you and Steve are saying. It's,
When
it
you
is a lot of effort to go through.
And when you have a well-qualified individual who was the cream that rose to the crop through probably one of the most extensive processes that we've ever had.
I would, from
And-
everything I understood, I would say it was the most extensive process the board's ever done.
Yeah, and so, and then to turn around and try to fast-track something at an expense, I mean, now, if it had been 3 or 4 years ago, I could see a big difference, but, I mean, just for an opportunity to, just to see.
I voted for Mr. Massey
Well, I know you did.
last time, and I like him. The dealings that I've had with him has been very professional. I have no issues with him. But today is a new day. I think people's lives change. It would be much cleaner, as Commissioner Hawkins mentioned. I'd like to see it advertised. Let's fast track it. I mean, I don't see why, in 2.5, 3 weeks that y'all couldn't bring us.
we were talking about an expense, but I'm sitting here trying to figure out what expense we're talking about other than advertising.
Well, you got advertising, you got staff time, taken away from other things, and everything's got an expense to it. Like I said, it's not worth fighting over, arguing
No,
over.
there's nobody arguing.
I mean, I have my viewpoint, you have yours, and I mean, everybody on here does, and that's what this board's for.
I'm not.
I'm just more concerned about the time frame between, next meeting we're fixing to have to hit.
Hank, you're not gonna leave us hanging.
Hit budget, and then, I mean, there's just so many things coming down the pipe that.
No, there's no doubt it's time sensitive. I completely agree with you on that.
If Tom was here,
But I got complete confidence in 2 women that I'm looking at there on the budgetary issues that we're going to continue to track with the budget, no matter who's in charge of it.
I understand, but the last time we did this, we tried to make it, because what we didn't want to do was set a budget and make the person have to run the budget.
Yeah.
We wanted them to, I mean, we
We'd
specifically.
be a part of the budget.
We specifically did it to where that individual would be a part of the budget process, so that it wouldn't be, his hands wouldn't be tied.
Can I ask a question? What kind of a time frame would it be before you feel like, without pinning you down, that you can get us the 3 top applicants? What kind of a time frame are we looking at? Today's the 25th, or today's the 25th.
Yeah, no, I can't really.
When do you feel like you could bring us some applicants?
You make it get in rescheduled with the board, or you should probably be June 19th or 20th. Yeah, so probably the earliest they could get you the names to, the 3 names for you guys to round robin interview like you did last time would be, we would need to do that the 19th or 20th of June. And then their workshop would be the 21st.
And if you make the decision, if you don't make that decision in time, if you need me to stay a week, 2, whatever, to accommodate that, that's
Well, we sure want you to stay a week, even after the.
Yeah, for
after-
handover and stuff like that.
After the boys'
Yeah,
house.
sure.
Because we're not gonna throw the building official on the bus, and we're sure not gonna throw the new county
Yeah, yeah,
official
yeah,
on the bus.
absolutely.
For you to say, hey, it's
Yeah, yeah,
yours.
yeah.
Good luck.
So,
And,
so I mean, you know, my intent was not to be here, you know, September, October, November.
Transfer, whatever job they're in.
Yeah.
if we, you know, it,
Would sure be nice to have somebody on board though, prior to the annual conference, because they do have a lot of training as well as
That's June
meetings
25th.
specifically for county administrators, county managers.
that's June 25th, right?
Yes.
21st?
June
That's
26th, 26th,
last week
and
of-
30th.
last week of June.
We are.
I was all around it.
Yeah,
we're
just
not-
close.
I'm just gonna go a week early.
Well, it's on the county down, it's okay. Well, it's not yours.
So what we would be shooting at would be to have you guys interview the week, either the 19th or 20th, and then hopefully have a recommendation or a motion on the 22nd of June would kind of be what we would be shooting for internally.
If, you know, if we was to go the alternative way, how would the price, how would the salary? Is that a collective do we?
Last time we did it at the minimum, we filled it at the minimum, that was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, that's
I
my
want
question.
clarification today on if we're going to advertise, are we gonna give it a range? We just advertised the planner and the, building official with a range that would allow some
It
flexibility.
needs a range.
So when I did those, I did it from the minimum to the midpoint. That doesn't mean we start them at the midpoint, it just says it's out there.
I agree. I agree
So
with that.
if y'all are in agreement with that,
How do we determine the salary?
it'll be based on their qualifications and,
Okay,
you know.
who determines that?
Well, it'll
We
be
would.
brought back to you to determine
Okay,
that,
that's my question.
you know.
I
I mean,
just
we
want
can make a
clarification for
recommendation.
everybody.
And see, that would be another deal that would be brought back, and that's gonna put us into July.
Yeah,
Well, and also, if you officially hire him on the 22nd, my assumption is he would have to tell his
Give notice.
employer that he would work a 2-week notice and things like that, which would make him pass the unless he can get off that week to go to conference and all that stuff. Which is totally fine. I'll do the other 2 weeks.
How many meetings did we have though, before we finally got the hang? I mean, because
What is the majority of the board want to do? Y'all heard my preference, and this is a board, Craig, you spoke your piece.
Yeah, you know, if y'all want to go move forward, I don't, like I said, this is nothing personal at all.
To me neither.
And I, you know, I think the guy would do a fine job, from what I've heard. But I understand, if it weren't for the time situation, I'd be dead set for the advertisement. I do understand the needs of the board there and the county. And so I'm more receptive to it from any other standpoint other than the time.
I'm not as even receptive to it, but again, I'm not hardcore gonna go against the rest of this board for what my belief system is. I think that and I understand we're under some time constraints, we've got budget coming on, as you mentioned, you've got some new staff coming on. You know, we've got several issues that we're facing, I'm with it.
Yeah.
But I'm still willing to fight that time frame fight and try to expedite. I'm ready to do that. And I think immediately that the cream will come to the top is Trey's
But
terminology.
we're gonna take 60 days out of a 90-day contract, just on the FEMA, for example, which, I mean, it needs to be very closely watched.
I'm just stating my opinion, and I've brought this back forward.
Yeah,
I've stated, Trey, you've got yours, Alan, all of us have got our feet. We're just one. And I'm not so
You know,
hardcore.
you spend all the time to vet somebody,
Yeah.
and you vetted him to that point, and maybe he's changed his mind since a few months have went by, you know, things have changed in this county about his contract thing, we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you need to reach out to him and say.
Well, that's my question. What
see where
happens?
he's at. That was the only problem I think the board had was the contract.
That was it. What happens if we reach out to him and he says, no, I don't, do we call a special meeting then and come back and, I just want clarification from the board. how we-
Here's the issue is the time frame. If he says no, he still wants a contract, then I'm not You know, I don't believe they bring the board to this contract.
Well,
But if it does, then we can have a special meeting.
And that's exactly it. And you can, and the motion can be made where you preface it with the fact is if he declines, then it automatically goes to host.
Yeah.
But if he declines it, what's up, you know, there's a lot of, there's a bunch of variances to it, you know what I mean? What is he declining? Is he declining at this salary? Is he declining at that salary? Is he declining at the?
Last time he declined it at the contract.
At the contract.
And listen, I was
But-
very much in support of this individual. Not that I disliked Hank.
Yeah.
I was very much in
Well,
support
I
of
dislike Hank, that's but no, what I'm getting at is what do we take to him to offer?
I can tell you this, the last time, this is exactly what it was. I think there's probably $2,000 or $3,000 difference in salary from what he makes now to what we offer. And I think, Marla, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was $300 a month difference in the insurance in what they pay over there and what we pay over here. So, I mean, I think that to back up, you know, because of this, you know, for his family, I mean, he's got 2 kids in college and that kind of thing. And it was the way it was advertised and that's the way it did. So, I mean, I don't think it would take a whole lot.
We got a man we pay a good salary, a very intelligent man out there to kind of lead me, lead me to the promised land, and I lean on him quite hard. Jeff, how do we do this? I mean, if we was to decide to take him off, come on, man. Jeff.
I thought I got my stuff over the first part of this meeting.
No, I'm not going to go down this road unless I feel comfortable with you.
That's scary.
I know. We'll trap it.
So David Ringstein's here to.
I've seen another.
Appreciate him. So the last time we did this, which was about a year ago, I thought it was last summer. Did this last week. I will say this is a big decision for this board. This is your leader. This is your CEO. This is your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is. Sometimes when I think my job is difficult dealing with county commissioners, I look over at that seat and I go, well, that guy's got it worse. So, yeah, this is. I've dealt with Hank, I've dealt with Steve, I've dealt with David. I even got a little bit of Mr. Pitts, a brief, and then a little bit of Mr. Hagan. So I've seen a few come through here, but I will tell you, it's almost like a marriage.
Yeah.
Get it right. And if if Mr. Massey is the right guy and this board thinks Mr. Massey's the right guy, then, you know, albeit you've got the authority to do it. But I will say this, it's important that there is unanimity in this hire. Because I will tell you that if somebody comes in under hard feelings or mixed feelings, it is hard for that person to succeed. It just is, and that is life. And so whoever that you pick as a board, I would hope that there would be unanimity and full force behind him or her. And so if that is Mr. Massey and the board feels good about going forward with that today, you know, at Chipola, when we hire a new president, there's 2 ways we've done it. Number one is we have basically special meetings and the salary is discussed and the terms are discussed. Sometimes the president's there, sometimes the presidential candidate's not. Sometimes the board appoints the chairman and or a subcommittee to do some of that work for them. And so that's the way I've seen it done with the president's job at Chipola. Holmes County is a little bit different. But that's an option for you. But I think the first hurdle you've got is Mr. Massey the guy that you want to go with, or do you want to go back through the process again? If Mr. Massey is the gentleman you want to go with, maybe you appoint Ms. Marla, myself, and the chairman to reach out to Mr. Massey, see if he's interested, and then try to negotiate a package, call a special meeting with this board, and bring it back for board consideration and discussion. I think your decision today is Mr. Massey going to be the guy, or do you want to open the process back up? I will say this: whatever decision you make, unanimity and no hard feelings is key, because that person never can get over that. It doesn't work that way.
If I may interject, I don't know him on a personal level, but I know him on a business level. I have no issues with Mr. Massey. No issues whatsoever. I think he's very capable. I think he's well qualified. I think he is part of the community. I think he lives in Washington County. And I think some of them transitions wouldn't, you know, I think he would do a great job. He is a team player. It doesn't matter what team he's playing with. I can't say enough good about him, and the business relations that I've had with him is why he was my choice in the very beginning. Mm-hmm. My only contention is that there's other opportunities out there that we haven't seen because it's been a year now, and I want to do everything fair. Again, I understand the time constraint we're under, but I have no problem with this board if the majority of them is to not go through the time frame and to bring Mr. Massey in. Again, he's qualified. He's a heck of a nice individual, very professional. He's got the experience, on and on and on. So if that's the direction that this board wants to take, I'm on board with it. But I just wanted to point out, you take the master of this county, who's running this county business, the biggest government the county's got. That's an important task, and I want to look at all my eggs.
Well,
not that we would even agree with that, but I'm just saying that.
I know right now we got 4.5 people, just because you don't know him very well. You went through the process with him. I went through the process with him. You did. And Steve has worked with him extensively
in the past.
To bring him into things.
Yes. Business relationship also.
You know, so he knows his, you know, so it doesn't seem, I don't know. I don't know.
Trey, you worked with him or no?
No, I haven't worked with him. I have no relationship with him. I've talked to him one time on the phone. I've ate breakfast with him twice. But hey, everything I've heard about him is nothing bad.
Alan?
Yeah, the only time I've ever met him or spoke to him, other than after we didn't select him, was in the interview process. And he was very kind after because there was some harsh words directed at me because we didn't hire him by some of the people in the community, not by anybody on this board. Mr. Massey called me and said, I want you to know that I have told them that not have any ill feelings with you about that, you know, and that I support you as a candidate, you know, and there's no hard feelings between me and you that you know, I didn't get the job.
Right.
So I always thought that was pretty stand up for somebody that didn't get the job to
reach out to you.
Yeah. So I always felt very good about the man. As far as my feelings, I don't like you. I don't. Whichever way the board would like to go, I'm willing to go. The one thing I hate for us to do is to go through all the effort of interviewing and getting the community leaders involved and all like that. If at the ultimate end, all we're going to do is select Jeff anyway.
Yeah, I don't
We don't want to
understand.
waste that time.
Well,
But this is, I get a feeling from a couple that's the way we're going anyways, and I don't want to have to put everybody through all that. If that's going to be where we're going to start with.
What I hate is when you have someone that lives in this community, a member of this community, and is very well qualified, which has been substantiated by everybody up here except for Trey. Not that it's because you don't know him well.
Absolutely.
And so,
but we also know another candidate. I do, you know, Steve, you know, another individual that wouldn't apply because of the way that the board.
I don't know that individual. But I mean, and I don't even know.
This is my only holdup.
And there's Steve, how many other people are there?
And Steve, you can test this. When public perception is one way, when Steve was hired as county administrator years ago, the public perception was so negative in some ways that you had that select people that he wasn't advertised for it, and it was hired in a way that they didn't like. And I don't want that guy to fight that. It ain't nothing to do with me, but I don't want that guy to continue to fight. It's unfair to bring him in, and he's fighting an uphill battle against public perception, no matter if the board's.
I think we could make that argument for the simple fact that it's just been a year, and I mean, he was very well vetted out the whole time, and
whether or not we make an argument, it's still an argument. And I don't want that guy, it's too important for this county, as much work that we put in over the last little bit, trying to move stuff in the correct direction, and then we bring a guy in, no matter if he's the best guy or not in the world, I don't want him to fight a battle that we called for. Now, if I'm seeing it wrong, Jeff, is that, you understand what I'm saying? If I'm seeing that wrong, y'all correct me, but I have no problem with the guy.
We
None.
need to be voting the will of the people in the best interest of, I mean, did I mention I had a drawer?
Does that make sense what I said? Do you think that would be a,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, did I mention I'm
There's
only
two
one?
issues that could taint this person. One is hard feelings on the board, and one is public perception that he or she can't get over. And so those are the two immediate death knells for a county administrator.
yeah.
And I don't know how the public would react to
And we've worked tirelessly for the last 6 months trying to change the complexion where people have complete trust and faith in what we're
Well,
doing.
absolutely. But the thing is,
Everything's transparent.
what Alan brought up though, there was what he was getting knocked on was by a large bunch of this community because he didn't, the perception was he didn't support you. And I mean, there was a big bunch of that, I mean, like he said, Jeff went out there and put out a bunch of fires for him because it wasn't his fault. But it was people that were mad because we didn't hire from within the county when we had somebody that was available.
Hey, I'm pro county hiring from our county.
We can discuss this. They never would listen to the whole process as to how we got where we got anyways. They just immediately made their mind up. They didn't want to listen to how we got there. They didn't want to listen. It was just, you voted against it. I voted for it. I just didn't vote for us to amend the way we were hiring somebody and change all that. But
I had breakfast with one of the individuals this morning.
We could discuss this until the cows come home. I think all of our opinions just come out. If Mr. Chairman, if you want to have some sort of a vote to either advertise it or I don't know what the answer is, but transparency is, Trey, I mean, it's the key, and I do feel like there would be other people because it's been a year that advertise. And we do have a budget, and every one of y'all sitting here, Trey, I'm not sure about you, has been handed a budget and is told to stay within that budget. I think all of us here have had that experience in the past. And you know what? Chairman, you can appoint a committee, you can appoint yourself, you can appoint whoever you want to be part of the budget committee. I mean, there's other ways of handling this without being behind the eight ball.
We can handle the budget, that's
My vote would be to advertise.
I would nominate this continuous vote, I'll put it that way. If the players of the board, the majority of the board is to hire Mr. Matthew, I'm with it. If the players of the board, the majority of the board is to go the other way, I'm with it. I will not bring this man in and like Mr. Goodman said, he'll have any ideas that we don't have unification that's 100% behind him or the applicant that we choose.
Mm-hmm. And again, I have no issues with the individual. I mean, I like him. There's nothing that I dislike about him. But I still think that for transparency purposes, that it's been a year. There's a lot of people that's lives have changed in a year, including all of ours. I just think there's other opportunity. My vote would be to advertise. And if he comes to the top, which I hope he would, still think.
It's not me. I'm just scared of, I've seen too many, I've seen us put out too many application or advertisements for jobs, and they come back with limited people or no people, or when they get here, I don't even know what came of the work crew. Supervisor Marla, did that ever pan out, the work squad, inmate supervisor?
We've sent them to corrections for background.
Oh, that's right, that's what we're waiting on.
We're waiting on.
But I mean, there's still a little contingency there, I mean, it's like, somebody make a motion, let's go.
Clear as mud right there.
I just mentioned what my vote would be.
We need a motion.
Mr. Jordan?
Well, I agree. It's one of the hardest jobs to fill in this county by no means,
You've been there.
And I've been there. I wasn't hired by the county, by the way. I agreed to take the job as an interim, and later on, they
Yes,
wanted to hire me, but Mr. Massey's got a job. He don't need, you know, I think he has a desire to help the county, you know, I mean,
Well,
that's what it takes, you know, so. And I do know that the bidding process, like Mr. Bush said, you know, it went through all the process. And it came down to Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Massey. So, you know, I don't know, he may not be
Well, when I said that, Robert, that,
interested in the job, you know, I don't know, but time frame wise, it would be, I think, advantageous to reach out to him to see if he's still interested in the job. I understand, I could look back and I can understand him wanting a contract. When a man needs a job, you know, and you step into a position like this, you're just from one meeting to the next, you know, and
I completely, and when I brought that up, it was meant to know that I was making a point.
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
I understand that, but it's a job that's, you know, very important to the people of this county and this board.
Very personable to the people of this county.
Absolutely, and you want the right person, therefore, I am adamant about, you know, hiring somebody that's local, you know, and that knows the people and how we work here and understand our way of life, you know, and support that. So it's a tough decision to make either way, but due to the process that they went through, and you know, Mr. Bush was chairman at the time, and I fully understand why he voted the way he did, you know, and he was looking out for the betterment of the county, and that's the way we want to all vote. And you know, I'd you know, being him and these three commissioners were here.
Yes.
You and I weren't.
Exactly. And
I think I would rather see one of them make the motion here to see which way we need to go, because y'all went through the process. You know, I don't think it would be right for myself or Mr. Hawkins to make that motion, so.
I'll make a motion that we reach out to Mr. Massey.
We've got a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Joyner, second. Do a roll call vote?
Let's have some discussion first. And when you say that, Charles, you're gonna reach out to him in what capacity? You're gonna reach out to him and just see what it would take as far as, it'd be easier if you're gonna do it that way, to say, all right, I would like permission for me and Marlon and Jeff to reach out to him under the terms of what? Contract, salary, health insurance, whatever. You know what I mean? If you could put something clear like that, then it'd really be expediting the process, because you wouldn't have to call a special meeting for all of us to come back and negotiate that, in other words.
All right, I rescind my motion. I'll make a motion that we reach out to Mr. Massey and discuss salary, insurance, contract.
Well, I mean, this is a lot of,
I wouldn't even put all that more motion. Let's just, go ahead and finish your, I'm sorry, go ahead and finish your motion. Then we'll discuss.
To negotiate.
To negotiate.
Yeah,
with
on
Mr. Massey.
behalf of all.
On myself and Marlon and Jeff.
Second, you want to restate that?
I'll second that motion. Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All right, so this, just for my benefit, or my enforcement. So when you go to negotiate, you, Jeff, and Marlon, will we call a special meeting and you'll bring back what his requirements are? But we're not, are we going to have a threshold where it's just a breaking point, where there's no need in having a special meeting?
No, I want it to come. I don't want a threshold, I want it to come.
Well, if there's a contract.
The facts, I'm not gonna approve a contract, but I mean.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm getting at. So
Well, I really don't think.
If you're gonna approve a contract, we are gonna advertise it.
Well, that's my point. You know, there should be a point there in this that that we have a drop dead point. If it's a contract issue, then we say the board does not see fit, then there's no need to call a special meeting. I'm happy to advertise.
We don't contract, we don't discuss it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to, we know, my biggest thing, the reason that I even consider this is the time frame. And so it ain't advantageous to me if we had to call a special meeting to go ahead and advertise, you know what I mean?
My thing about this is, okay, in my motion, I'll preface it with the fact is if we cannot come to an agreement.
But the board needs to set what the agreement is. You understand what I'm saying? That this is a sticking point that we're not crossing, and I'm not going to advertising at that point. Do you see what I'm saying? That we have to call a special meeting to advertise the position, and then we're
that's
not,
fine. So
then we're no longer.
So let's set the parameters. I mean, okay.
Well, let's have this discussion. Don't start making a motion till we decide.
Well, I'm in the middle of one, which is fine.
No.
That allows us to talk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't, until we define our.
I've asked Rick to go get the salary for me.
I don't have a problem going from 0 to half for that committee to agree. I'm not going to agree for them to pay any more of the insurance than is paid for any other county employee.
Well, no, but I think
from 0 to halfway.
I think from the middle to the half would cover the difference. He wouldn't be losing money.
But you know, if you go in there and I don't even want that to be a determinative factor.
What I'm saying is, I mean, no,
From 0 to half, I'll agree with that for whatever purposes. That's his individual budget, his household budget. I don't have a problem with y'all negotiating from 0 to half. But I'm not going to agree to the contract.
Ms. Marlowe, what in the past?
Because that changes the
Can
whole
we have
ballgame.
how hard would it be to get a mean salary of our last 4 county commissioners?
Oh, you don't want to do that.
No, because it's embarrassing.
You don't want to do that.
It won't, I can go get it for
The
you.
past county administrator was the lowest paid in the state of Florida.
No, that's why I said if we go back to the last 4, because we had contracts in the past.
Okay, it was, help me with names. I know that David and
You did not.
You go
Steve.
Roger
Dale Hagan,
Henry Pitts.
Steve, and Emory Pitts didn't have a contract.
Emory has a contract.
Yeah, that's why.
But he went back to his other job.
Yeah, but yeah,
I'll be right back.
very good guy.
Miss Martin. Miss Martin.
Yes.
Can you also get me the on our pay scale, what is the from the beginning to the mid range?
Yes.
Thank you. You want to?
Hey, did I tell y'all I'm the only one up here that has a drawer?
Is
Did I
that
tell y'all
nice?
that? It's nice. It's very nice.
Great
Well,
job.
we may have to crawl in that drawer in just a second. We may have to make sure it's bulletproof.
You want to take a 5-minute recess?
Take 5.
Yeah, so.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Well, I told y'all that if we got to do the easy stuff, start with it.
Now, are you doing?
He's got all the staff documents.
Is it just me, or is it around in a circle for the past half hour? Actually, 40-some minutes.
I just working here.
They got to, then they need to.
No, just add it to the top there. We'll get the next
Here, I
one.
can do it. Does it matter what color? This? Okay.
Set up the committee for hopefully interviews, probably the 14th, 15th, 16th, with our subcommittee to get you the top 3. We'll bring those top 3 for interviews by the board either the 19th or 20th of June. And then you guys will be ready for the 21st to do whatever you're going to do.
So we should be able to have a special meeting, or our regular meeting's the 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd is regular meeting.
Our task is to bring you 3 names to interview either the 19th or 20th of June individually. That's what we did last time, so we're not violating the sunshine law. And then you'll rank probably the 21st is when we'll do that.
And I
When
seconded
is
the
the,
motion.
when is the workshop?
21st.
The 21st.
And I seconded the motion.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous to advertise it.
All right, you want to finish this? You don't need to finish?
Nope. Thank you.
All right.
That's clear as mud and it's out of the way.
Yep. Mud.
So we're advertising for the county administrator position.
Okay, we got